There's a verse in the Bible that promises something rare. Everything you do will prosper. And it's not symbolic, not metaphorical, not a promise for heaven. It's a clear mechanism in Psalm 1. Today, I'll show you how to activate this code and unlock real prosperity in your life. Psalm 3:24. Psalm 1 begins, "Blessed is the man who walks not in the counsel of the wicked, nor stands in the way of sinners, nor sits in the seat of scoffers. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and on his law he meditates day and night." And then comes verse 3, the verse that changes everything. "He is like a tree planted by streams of water that yields its fruit in its season, and its leaf does not wither. In all that he does, he prospers." In all that he does, he prospers. Not some things, not just the right projects, everything. But there's a detail most people miss, and that detail determines whether this works in your life or not. We'll get there. First, let me tell you a story. There's a man in the desert. He's been walking for days. No water, no direction, no shade. He sees mirages. He stumbles. He thinks he's moving forward, but he's just circling. He tries harder, he sweats, he pushes on, but nothing changes. Because he has no roots, he has no source, he's disconnected. And there's another man. He's planted. Not in the middle of the desert. He's by the river. His roots run deep. He doesn't need to chase the water. The water comes to him. And that's why he grows. That's why he bears fruit. That's why he prospers. That's the difference between those who struggle and those who flourish. Psalm 1 isn't talking about luck. It's talking about spiritual positioning, internal alignment, choice. The prosperity promised in this psalm isn't accidental. It's a direct consequence of where you plant yourself, what you absorb, and how you operate. So let's dissect this. Let's crack the code. The psalm begins with 3 negations, 3 do-nots. And this isn't poetry. It's survival instructions. Do not walk in the counsel of the wicked. Do not stand in the way of sinners. Do not sit in the seat of scoffers. Sounds moralistic, right? Sounds like old church talk. But it's not. It's mapping energy, mentality, frequency. Let's translate this into real-world terms. Not walking in the counsel of the wicked means don't absorb the worldview of those living without purpose, without center, without internal axis. Don't let the scarcity mindset, the cynicism, the "it won't work", the "system is rigged", the "everyone cheats", the "that's just how it is". Don't let that enter you as truth, because it seeps in. Slowly, by osmosis. You absorb what surrounds you. You start thinking like the people you listen to. You start seeing the world through the eyes of those close to you. And if you're surrounded by people who constantly complain, who blame, who stagnate, are you going to start prospering? No, you're going to start reproducing. The second "do not" is more subtle. Do not stand in the way of sinners. Sin here isn't just moral transgression. It's trajectory error. It's walking in circles. It's wasting time on what doesn't build, what doesn't construct, what doesn't bear fruit. It's getting stuck in empty conversations. It's spending energy on gossip, drama, unnecessary conflict. It's feeding addictions, distractions, escapes. It's living on autopilot, without intention, without clarity. And the third, do not? Do not sit in the seat of scoffers. This is the most dangerous, because to scoff is to mock, to ridicule, to destroy before building, to criticize without creating, to discredit everything and everyone, including yourself. Some people live like this. They laugh at those who try. They belittle those who dream. They destroy any hope, any movement, any faith. And if you sit there, if you stay there, If you become part of that circle, you won't prosper. You'll wither. So the psalm begins by saying, get away from that. Don't absorb it. Don't stand in it. Don't sit in it. And then comes the positive part. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and on his law he meditates day and night. Delight, not obligation. Delight. This matters. Because many people read the Bible as duty, pray as task, meditate as technique, but that's not it. The psalm speaks of delight, of finding satisfaction, meaning internal nourishment in it. Meditating day and night doesn't mean sitting with your eyes closed all day repeating mantras. It means living with it inside you. It means processing life through that filter. It means using that wisdom as compass. It's having a center, an axis, a north. And then, when you do this, when you distance yourself from what contaminates and approach what nourishes, you become like the tree planted by streams of water. Streams, not a big river. It's a constant flow. It's a source that doesn't dry up. It's running water, living water, that never stops. And the tree doesn't chase the water. It just needs to be planted in the right place. The roots do the rest. That's true prosperity. It's not chasing. It's attracting. It's not forcing. It's flowing. It's not fighting everything. It's aligning with the source. Before I continue, hit that like button now, because this isn't entertainment. This is reprogramming. And if you've made it this far, it's because something in you recognizes this truth. Now let's talk about the part nobody tells you. The psalm says, that yields its fruit in its season. In its season. Not in your desperation. Not in your rush. In the right time. This frustrates many people, because we want results now. We want to prosper today. We want to see the money, the change, the immediate turnaround. But a tree doesn't bear fruit the day it's planted. It needs roots. It needs time. It needs cycles. And the problem with many people isn't lack of potential. It's lack of patience. It's digging up the seed every day to see if it's growing. It's changing strategy every week because it's not working. It's quitting 3 steps before harvest. Prosperity isn't an event. It's a process. And those who don't understand this spend their lives jumping from branch to branch, never creating roots, never bearing fruit. But there's another detail in the verse. Its leaf does not wither. Leaves that don't wither means constant vitality. It means that even in hard times, even in drought, even in winter, you don't wilt, you don't collapse, you don't lose your color, because you're connected to the source. Because prosperity doesn't depend on external environment. It depends on internal alignment. And then comes the final promise. In all that he does, he prospers. But pay attention now. Because this part is crucial. This doesn't mean you'll succeed at everything you try. It means everything you do from that position, from that alignment, from that connection, will prosper. Prosperity isn't in what you do. It's in who you are when you do it. You can have 2 entrepreneurs. Same product, same market, same effort. One prospers, the other fails. Why? Because one is planted, the other is running. One is aligned, the other is desperate. One acts from internal abundance, the other acts from fear, from lack, from rush, and the universe, God, life, responds to that, responds to frequency, responds to internal position. So when the psalm says, in all that he does, he prospers, it's not promising magic. It's describing a spiritual law, a natural consequence of living connected to the source. Now, what are the 3 modern errors that block this prosperity? First error, seeking prosperity without internal transformation. People want the result, but don't want to change. Want the money but don't want to release the scarcity mindset. Want the opportunity but don't want to leave the comfort zone. Want the blessing but don't want to distance themselves from what contaminates. And it doesn't work that way. You can't be planted in the desert and expect to bear fruit. You need to change location. You need to change frequency. You need to change circles. Second error, acting by imitation, not revelation. Some people copy strategy, copy method, copy step by step, and don't prosper. Because true prosperity doesn't come from external formula. It comes from internal alignment. What works for one may not work for you. Because each tree has its season. Each person has their calling. Each person has their roots. The psalm doesn't talk about copying the righteous. It talks about being the righteous. It talks about meditating, absorbing, processing, becoming. Third error, quitting before fruit season. This is the most common. The person starts well. They distance themselves from what contaminates. They seek alignment. They plant. But at the first difficulty, the first drought, the first delay, they uproot everything and start over somewhere else. And then they never harvest. Because they never create roots. Because they never complete the cycle. Prosperity requires persistence. But not that blind, desperate, suffering persistence. Rather that rooted, confident, connected persistence. Have you been through this? Have you quit something that, if you'd held on a little longer, would have flourished? Tell me in the comments. I read them all. Now, let me show you how to apply this in practice. Because theory without application is just dead knowledge. First step. Do an honest inventory of your environment. Look at your life right now. Look at the people you listen to every day. Look at the content you consume. Look at the conversations you have. Look at the environments where you spend your time. And ask, does this nourish me or drain me? Does this elevate me or pull me down? Does this connect me with abundance or scarcity? Because you can't prosper drinking from a contaminated source. You can't grow breathing toxic air. You can't bear fruit planted in the wrong place. And it's not about judging people. It's about protecting your energy. It's about consciously choosing where you plant your tree. There's a saying, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And this isn't motivational talk. It's energetic law. It's unconscious absorption. It's constant contamination or elevation. So if the 5 people closest to you are constantly complaining, stagnating, living without purpose, what's the chance you'll truly prosper? Small, because you're absorbing that frequency all the time. But if you surround yourself with people who build, who believe, who act, who prosper, you start vibrating at that frequency too. You start thinking differently, seeing opportunities where you once saw obstacles, acting with confidence where you once acted with fear. This isn't selfishness. It's spiritual survival. It's protecting your potential. It's respecting the seed you carry within you. Second step, create a daily absorption ritual. The psalm talks about meditating day and night. And this needs to be practical, needs to be tangible, needs to become habit. It could be 10 minutes in the morning reading something that connects you with truth, with wisdom, with principle. It could be a moment of silence before sleep, reviewing the day, processing what came in, releasing what doesn't serve. It could be listening to something that elevates you while you work. It could be stopping midday to breathe, to reconnect, to remember who you are and where you're going. The format doesn't matter. What matters is consistency. What matters is creating an open channel between you and the source. What matters is not letting the noise of the world cover the internal voice. Because the prosperity of Psalm 1 doesn't come from outside. It sprouts from within. But it only sprouts if you water it, if you cultivate it, if you protect it. And some people spend all day consuming bad news, social media drama, complaints, negativity, and then wonder why they don't prosper, why opportunities don't come, why life doesn't change. Life is responding to what you feed. Life is reflecting what you absorb. If you fill your mind with scarcity, fear, chaos, that's what will multiply in your reality. But if you fill your mind with truth, principle, faith, clarity, that's what starts manifesting. That's what starts attracting. That's what starts prospering. Third step, act from abundance, not desperation. This is subtle but decisive. There are two ways to act. One comes from fear, the other from faith. When you act with fear, you're always running, always trying to compensate, always rushing, always forcing, and the energy of that repels, the frequency of that blocks. But when you act with faith, you act with calm, you act with clarity, you act knowing you're planted in the right place, that the water will come, that the fruit will arrive, and the energy of that attracts, the frequency of that opens doors. Let me give you a concrete example. Two salespeople, same product, same client. One is desperate to close. He pressures, he insists, he sweats necessity. The client feels it and pulls back. The other salesperson is calm. He offers with confidence. He respects the client's timing. He doesn't need to force because he knows that if it's not this one, it'll be the next. He acts from internal abundance, and the client feels it and trusts. Who closes more? The second. Always. Because prosperity doesn't come from force, it comes from frequency. And the frequency of abundance is calm, confident, generous. The frequency of scarcity is tense, tight, desperate. And this applies to everything. To work, to relationships, to opportunities, to money. When you act knowing you're planted by the river, you don't act with desperation, you act with purpose. And that changes everything. Fourth step, respect fruit season. I know this is difficult, because we live in a culture of immediate results. We want everything yesterday. We want to prosper now. But the tree doesn't work that way, and neither do you. If you planted recently, you're creating roots. You're strengthening beneath the earth. You're preparing to sustain the fruit that's coming. And during this period, it seems like nothing's happening. Seems like you're stuck. Seems like you're wasting time. But you're not. You're growing from inside out. You're aligning. You're rooting. And if you dig up the seed at this moment to see if it's growing, you kill the process. If you change strategy every week because it's not showing results, you never complete the cycle. Prosperity requires faith. And faith isn't believing it will work out. Faith is staying planted even when it hasn't worked out yet. There's a story about a farmer who plants bamboo. He waters, he cares, he protects. And for 5 years, nothing happens. Nothing appears. Nothing sprouts. And everyone laughs at him. Everyone says he's wasting time, that he should plant something else, that it won't work. But he continues. He keeps watering. He keeps caring. Because he trusts the process. And in the 6th year, the bamboo sprouts. And in 6 weeks, it grows 30 meters. 30 meters. In 6 weeks. And everyone is amazed. And asks, how did it grow so fast? And the farmer answers, it didn't grow in 6 weeks. It grew in 6 years. You just didn't see it. Because it was growing beneath the earth. It was creating roots. That's the prosperity of Psalm 1. It's not magic. It's process. It's not luck. It's alignment. It's not accident. It's spiritual law. And if you're in a phase where it seems nothing's happening, remember this. Remember you might be creating roots, that you might be preparing, that the fruit might be coming, but the season hasn't arrived yet. Don't quit 3 steps before harvest. Don't change location when you're almost there. Don't uproot the tree at the moment it needs you most. 5th step. Celebrate what has already sprouted. This is important because we have the habit of only looking at what's missing, at what hasn't arrived yet, at what hasn't happened. And then we live dissatisfied. We live anxious. We live feeling we're not enough, don't have enough, haven't done enough. But the Psalm says the tree bears fruit in its season. And if you look carefully, you'll see there's already fruit, already results, already change. It might not be the fruit you expected, might not be the size you wanted, but it's there. And recognizing that, celebrating that, being grateful for that feeds the cycle. That accelerates prosperity, because gratitude is the frequency of abundance, and those who live in gratitude attract more to be grateful for. But those who live in complaint, dissatisfaction, focus on what's lacking, attract more lack, attract more scarcity, attract more frustration. So stop now, look at your life, and recognize what has already sprouted. Recognize where you're already better than you were. Recognize what has already changed. Recognize the fruit that already exists, even if small, and be grateful, and celebrate, and honor, because that opens the channel for more. That tells the universe, God, life, I'm ready to receive more. I'm recognizing what I've already received. I'm vibrating in abundance, and then prosperity flows. Natural, constant, multiplied. Now let's talk about the most ignored detail. The detail that determines whether Psalm 1 works for you or not. Most people read, "In all that he does, he prospers," and think it's an automatic promise, that you just need to do anything and it'll work. But it's not. Because the verse begins with a condition. It first describes who the person is who prospers, and only then does it promise prosperity. So the question isn't, what do I need to do to prosper? The question is, who do I need to be so that everything I do prospers? And the answer is, at the beginning of the psalm, the person who prospers is the one who doesn't walk, doesn't stand, doesn't sit in the wrong place, is the one who delights in the law of the Lord, is the one who meditates day and night, is the one who becomes like a tree planted by streams of water. In other words, prosperity doesn't come from doing. It comes from being. You can work 20 hours a day, can have the best strategy, can have the best idea, but if you don't have internal alignment, if you don't have connection to the source, if you don't have roots, you won't truly prosper. You might even make money, might even have success, but you won't have peace, won't have satisfaction, won't have fulfillment. And then you'll realize prosperity isn't just quantity, it's quality. It's not just having, it's being. The tree in Psalm 1 doesn't prosper just because it bears fruit. It prospers because its leaves don't wither, because it has vitality, because it has life. And some people conquer everything and remain empty. Some people achieve success and remain unhappy. Some people gain the world and lose their soul because they built in the wrong place. They drank from the wrong source. They planted themselves in the desert. So the most ignored detail is this: before seeking prosperity, seek alignment. Before chasing fruit, care for the roots. Before wanting to have, work on who you are. And when you do that, when you truly do that, everything you do will prosper. Not because you're forcing it, but because you're flowing. Not because you're fighting, but because you're aligned. And that changes everything. Now, if you feel this topic resonates with what you're living right now, I left a special invitation in the description: the Wealth Recode. Inside are the 7 mental keys that change how you see and create wealth. It's the deepening of everything we talk about here on the channel. It's the method I created for those who truly want to flip the switch. The link is down below. And if you want to continue this journey with me, I left a video in the description that complements everything we talked about here. It's about how to reprogram your mind for abundance. It'll help you connect the dots and accelerate your transformation. Look, I know some people will watch this video and do nothing. We'll find it beautiful, we'll agree with everything, but we'll stay exactly in the same place. We'll continue surrounded by the same people, absorbing the same things, acting the same way. And a year from now, they'll be in the same place, complaining that life doesn't change, that prosperity doesn't come, that nothing works. But I also know some people will hear this and feel something different. Will recognize this isn't just information, that this is a call, that this is an invitation to change position, to change frequency, to change life. And these people will act, will do the inventory, will distance themselves from what contaminates, will create the ritual, will plant in the right place, and will wait for fruit season with faith, with patience, with confidence. And a year from now, their life will be different, because they didn't just change strategy, they changed who they are. They didn't chase prosperity, they became prosperous. And you? What will you do? Will you keep running in the desert? Or will you plant yourself by the river? Will you keep drinking from a contaminated source? Or will you seek living water? Will you keep digging up the seed every day? Or will you have patience for fruit season? The choice is yours. Always has been. Always will be. But now you know. You know the code. You understand the mechanism. You have the map. Psalm 1 isn't an empty promise. It's spiritual law. It's practical manual. It's invitation to a completely different life. And if you made it here, to the end of this video, it's because something in you already knows this. Something in you already recognizes this truth. Something in you is already ready to change. So don't ignore it. Don't let it pass. Don't go back to autopilot. Take the first step today. Do the inventory today. Plant in the right place today. Start meditating today. Start acting differently today. Because fruit season doesn't start tomorrow. It starts the day you plant. And if you don't plant today, you postpone the harvest. You postpone prosperity. You postpone the life you were born to live. And I know you don't want that. I know you're tired of waiting. I know you're ready. So go. Plant yourself. Root yourself. Connect yourself. And let the law of Psalm 1 do what it has always done. Prosper everything you do. This is the initiate. See you in the next transmission.